Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be talking about different ways that you can protect yourself on this digital space in today's workshop of Don't Find Yourself with Your Cookies Crumbling. A little bit about the organization. We are the Lioness Instincts, and our mission is to empower women to protect themselves in our physical and digital worlds using the principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and cybersecurity. We are here to enlighten the huntress in all of us and engage in threat risk assessment with mitigation tactics. Lioness Instincts is currently physically sponsored by Hack Club Bank for 501c3 nonprofit status. And under the image, you can go ahead and see some of our social media places, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and our website that you can connect with us and find out more or the next events. Together, our mission and our vision is to awaken the warrior spirit within all of us. We have this, natural spirit inside, and our goal is to make personal safety become an instinct, just something that we do naturally, like we brush our teeth every day. It should be part of our hygiene. Our full vision is to be able to provide self-defense classes, online digital privacy. We currently do run both of those. And then expand out to assist with career development and financial health support to get folks off their feet and rocking and rolling in today's world. This is just ways to connect with me and the Lioness. You can see some upcoming events on our class schedule. Our mailing list gives you the newsletter and then upcoming events. And then in my personal blogs, I've shared some insights on like how to get into cybersecurity and how to market yourself for those roles. So with that, I'll hand it over to James. Go ahead and share his screen.
All right, make sure I got it. There's the button. There we go. All right, I think I'm gonna have to jump over here. There we go. Okay. So basically something I was trying to figure out as we're putting this together is how do we communicate why people care about digital privacy? Because it's something a lot of people have talked about before. A lot of people have gotten in front of in TED Talks and talked about it, and we still have issues with this topic. So I was trying to find something that really explained it well and made it more tangible compared to just something digital and so intangible that we just don't pay attention to it. And it turns out Alex Winter from Bill and Ted is actually a pretty smart guy and very interested in digital privacy. And he had a TED Talk about 10 years ago, and he had this quote where he said, "Privacy serves a purpose. It's why we have blinds in our windows and a door in our bathroom." And I just really like that because it makes it so tangible and visceral compared to something just completely intangible and out of our lives as far as we're concerned. So what's been happening with our data? Well, data about our individual lives has become more valuable than ever. And many argue that we are watched so that companies can advertise to us. And in many ways, this is true. A lot of data collected about us is used for advertising campaigns to sell products more efficiently. However, something we've kind of noticed in this trend is that the sheer volume of data and the precision of the data that's collected about us is at a point where it can be used for much more than just advertising. And it is used for much more than just advertising. It provides this, I'm kind of trying to call it surveillance as a service, because a lot of companies are collecting information about us and just provide it as a service that is purchased like a subscription package. And this is provided to companies and governments alike. So these kinds of tools that we're going to explore today are really what you would see like in a spy movie from 10 years ago, except they are commercial and they are available to anyone with the money who's willing to pay for it, which includes, of course, governments such as ours. So I thought this would be fun to throw in. Doesn't my data belong to me? Well, technically no. According to the law, it does not most of the time. So this company called GameStation decided it would be funny to put in their terms of service that you sign over your soul, literally, when you sign up for the service. And it was just kind of a fun gag, but it was to point out just how problematic our terms of service are. The issue here is that there's not a lot of laws that regulate the internet. So most of that regulation is up to a contract between you and a service provider. when you sign up for an account on a social media service, or even when you visit a website and you see that little terms of service thing pop up, you are signing a contract. It is the same as if someone put a contract in front of you and demanded your signature to do something. It is legally binding. So that terms of service and privacy policy, those are two different documents usually, lay out what data is collected by that service. And by contract, usually this data is owned by the service provider. Even if it's information about you and your life, it doesn't belong to you anymore. So the problem here is that because it doesn't belong to you, it doesn't fall under the protection of our amendments, including due process. If the government wants to have that information about you, let's say your emails and Gmail, information from your Instagram account that's private, they don't have to get a warrant. They just buy it. So this allows them to circumvent some of the amendments that we believe we live by. And it can be quite problematic because this happened in the background. A lot of people don't see it's happening because when that data is collected and bought by the government, you don't see that happening. So we don't realize the scale of it. An important thing to note right here is that these contracts usually follow the law of the headquarters of the service provider. So Google is based in the US, they follow US privacy law. A service like Proton Mail that we're talking about is based in Switzerland. So they follow Swiss privacy law. Regardless of where the servers are in the world, they're following Swiss law, which has really great privacy. We'll be talking about why that matters. So what can we do about this? Require that the Fourth Amendment is followed basically by just protecting your data so that if it is to be collected, it has to go through due process because it's technologically protected. So that deals cannot be made in the background to collect it. Someone actually has to go through you. And we'll talk about tools that do this. It is very much possible, and it's really not hard to convert to. A lot of this comes down to learning about digital security, privacy, and anonymity concepts, and the tools that we use to achieve them. So just want to go through some quick definitions first. May not be super applicable, but just in case. Privacy, security, and anonymity are different concepts, and it's pretty important to understand that because they tend to be mistaken for each other. So something like a VPN, we'll talk about what a VPN is, may provide browsing privacy, but it may not provide you security or anonymity. Encryption, which is a tool to protect data security, protect it from being read or modified by an unauthorized user, may provide you security, but it may not provide the other two. And a Tor browser may provide browsing anonymity, but it may not provide you security or privacy. Can I interact with oh, I thought I could interact with the PowerPoint in here, but never mind. Switch over. So some main concepts. These are like the main ideas we're going to talk about and the tools to fix each of these problems. And this is kind of a comprehensive, well, it is a comprehensive viewpoint of your privacy on the internet, because a lot of people might adjust one setting or use one application and think they're good. Unfortunately, that's not really how it works. We're going to cover all the different areas of your life where data is collected about you and the different tools you can use so that when you layer them together, you end up with a comprehensive privacy solution that fixes pretty much everything for the average person who may be more concerned about what's being done with their information in today's day and age. So we're going to talk about advertising ID, which is technology a lot of people haven't heard about, but it's very, very important. We're going to talk about browsing, what is collected as you browse the internet. All of us browse the internet all the time. We're going to talk about encryption and how to protect that from being monitored using something called end-to-end encryption. Well, communication. We're going to talk about communication, how end-to-end encryption is used. Social media. We're going to cover what your service provider collects on you, and what you post, obviously, is collected, and how you can mitigate some of this. You don't need to cut social media out of your life. You just need to put a cap on it and keep it from gathering stuff you don't know it's gathering in the background. And photo metadata. That's a pretty important one. Normally when you take a photo, there's location information burned into that photo, and other information like your device information, like that doesn't need to be there, and we'll talk about how to get rid of that. It's actually not that hard to do. So advertising ID is the first technology I want to cover. It's a technology which allows applications on your phone to recognize what device they're running on. So basically what that means is that when you download an app on your phone, like Bumble, Candy Crush, Instagram, TikTok, I'm naming these because they were part of a hack on a company called Gravy Analytics, which collects data from them. And these are the services they collect data from and bring together to monitor you, like literally where you are, what room of the building you're in, every minute of every day. It's kind of crazy. Each of these apps, when they are installed on your phone, they request permissions to stuff. They need access to your location, your dating app. That makes sense. Instagram might need access to your photo album. That makes sense. The problem is when they try and collect what they can, and then they recognize they're running on the same device. So now each of these that have a slice of the pie that is your life can stitch that together to get a comprehensive view of who you are. So the technical part is that your operating system provides all of them a unique code that identifies you and your device apart from every single other one on the planet. So when all this information is collected, it has the same code. It's like, hey, that's the same person. No matter where we collect this from, we know this came from the same phone. And that provides a very, very powerful surveillance tool that is actively used by many, many organizations today. And it's not as anonymous as they say it is. They may say, oh, we don't have your name in it. Okay, but you know every location I go to every day of a month. You know who I am. That's pretty invasive. So there's just a little snippet of like what might be collected. Bumble, it's going to be your location. It kind of needs that to do its job. It's going to be your gender, your sexual orientation. Instagram might have access to camera and photos, nearby Wi-Fi networks, which can provide it some idea of where you are as well. Messages sent in the app, which I stress are not encrypted. Operating system info. TikTok might get some biometrics off your voice and your face, which is a little weird. It's definitely going to get your political leanings. If anyone's ever used TikTok, it figures out your political ideas and feeds them to you like crazy. And all of this stitched together and sent off. That is what we're concerned about. And that's something that's very easy to fix. So disabling Ad ID on iOS is really easy to do. You just go to your tracking, go into your settings, type in the word tracking, and turn off allow apps requests to track. And then you also want to type in Apple advertising in your search bar and turn off personalized ads because it's two different ways it wants to track you. This third panel on there is about Safari, how Safari might try and track you. So if you use Safari, go ahead and adjust those settings as you see here. I personally don't use it, so I just didn't really worry about it. And we will be posting this PowerPoint so you can go over it in future if you want to go through it slower. On Android, it's even easier. Just type in ads in your system settings and then hit delete advertising ID. That will delete that code completely. Each of these apps will collect information on you still, but they won't be able to tell or stitch together that they're coming from the same device. So Bumble might know where you are roughly, but it does not know any of the stuff that Instagram collected. It doesn't know what TikTok or Candy Crush collected on you. It only has its slice of the pie. And that's really what we're after here, is to try and reduce the correlations. Esna, do you think I'm going a little too quick? Just want to make sure.
I'd lead to the audience. Anybody have any questions on ad IDs before we move on to browsing?
I just did it right now, actually. I had a whole bunch of apps. Went in, just type the tracking. It was like they told me 39 apps that actually was tracking me. So thank you. Yeah, I just did it right now. So thank you.
Nice.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Turn it off.
Reed, you keep it up as well? I don't know if your mic is working. Yeah, great. Okay, so okay, awesome. All right.
And just to note for those watching either on the recording or those now, if you check out the YouTube channel, we have previous webinars where we dive deeper in ad IDs, metadata on phones, and then how data can be found about you. There are some sections in this one, in this webinar that we haven't covered in depth. So just an FYI.
Yeah. So browsing privacy. The things we want to consider here, again, we got tools to fix all this. Our IP address is logged and associated to our identity. Your router at home has a public IP address. So when you access the internet, that website knows roughly where you are. It knows the location of that IP address. So when you look up anything, any website can see pretty accurately where you are. Something we also want to consider are cookies. So cookies, if you don't know, is a little text file that's saved on your browser. So when you go to a website, it will save that you were there. So this might be used to keep you logged in. If you ever open your browser and you're still logged into your email client, like Gmail or something like that, that's because of a cookie. So first-party cookies are fine. They do stuff like that. They're useful. Third-party cookies are designed primarily for tracking. So you might visit a website like CNN, which has tons of trackers built into it. There's going to be Facebook and Google trackers built into that website, which fall under third-party cookies. So that kind of stuff, there's really no advantage to you. You can turn that off. And we'll talk about browsers that can do that. Now, the problem here is that a lot of browsers got really good at blocking cookies. So people came out with a new technology called browser fingerprinting, which attempts to gather even more information from you to figure out who you are, because we try to block other stuff. We have browsers that will kill that off too, so we don't have to worry about it. Your search engine will try and gather some about you. Google's going to be a big one. Google started data collection at the dawn of the internet, so they are like the ones who do this. They are the main contributors. But we'll talk about different search engines. DuckDuckGo, that's pretty much all you need to know about that. The browser itself collecting data. Google Chrome and Edge collect tons of information. They're not protecting you from websites collecting information. They're letting it through, and they're collecting their own on top of that. So we're going to go through some different solutions to those problems. So before we jump into all that, we're going to talk about VPNs quick, because I mentioned IP addresses first. Well, your IP address kind of tells your location when you're visiting a website. Well, a VPN changes that IP address. It puts it somewhere else in the world. You can say, I'm browsing from Miami, I'm browsing from Switzerland, I'm browsing from wherever. So the two things that a VPN does by changing your IP address is, first of all, it looks like you're coming from a different location, which can be quite useful to kind of hide your identity. The other thing it does is that because you're sharing that IP address with thousands of people, it's harder to identify you based on your IP address alone. If you're using an IP address at home, no VPN or anything, there may be like 5 different people that use that IP. So it's not hard to figure out who's who. If there's thousands, it's going to be way harder. So that's pretty much what a VPN does. A lot of VPN companies might advertise it does more than that, but all it does is it changes your IP address. And it looks like you're coming from somewhere else. And it looks like you're hiding behind the IP with other people. So VPNs are great. They are a wonderful solution, but that is all they do. A lot of companies might advertise more than that. That's not really what the technology is designed for. But it is an extremely valuable tool when used correctly. So some reputable VPNs. Right there is a little hyperlink for different reputable VPNs. The two that we're going to recommend are Mullvad and Proton. Proton is a privacy-oriented company we're going to talk about more because they make other services. But Mullvad is just a VPN company. They do VPNs, and they're good at it, and they make sure that you are not tracked. In fact, they were raided once by the Swedish police. They're based in Sweden. They were raided by the Swedish police with a search warrant. And of course, companies have to abide by a search warrant. They can't just say, no, we're protecting our customers' privacy. But if the company simply keeps themselves from collecting data about your customers, they use technology to stop that, then they'll abide by the search warrant, but there's nothing to hand over. There simply wasn't ever any data. So they don't collect any payment info. They hold it onto for like 30 days, and then they get rid of it. And if you pay with cryptocurrency, which you can even mail cash to them. They collect nothing about you. So they'll abide by a search warrant, but there's nothing to give over. And Proton VPN has also proven themselves to do the same thing, where there simply wasn't any data to give up. And that's what's really important about these companies is, do they protect you by simply never collecting info to begin with, so that they can abide by the law, but still protect you? So browsers, there's 2 main browsers we're going to recommend here. It's going to be Brave, which actually is what I use, and I love it because it's just easy to use. You don't have to mess with it. And FireFox. FireFox, I recommend using the uBlock Origin extension. Again, you can see there's hyperlinks in there to those tools. uBlock Origin is an extension that blocks a bunch of extra trackers that you might come across. Brave does all that by default, so throwing it on there doesn't help. but Firefox, it can make a difference on Firefox. So something we really recommend is avoid configuring your privacy settings too much in your browser, which is granted something I should do more myself because I like to tinker with things and I should probably adjust it back to original settings. But when you tinker with your settings a lot, your privacy and security settings specifically, it makes your browser unique, the way it interacts with the website. So just leave it as is and you kind of blend into the crowd. So these browsers by default, they're going to block trackers. They're going to block third-party cookies and ads on the internet. And they're also going to stop browser fingerprinting, that advanced technology we talked about. It's going to come up with a randomized set of identifiers that is never seen again and is not attached to you, and it's fantastic. At the end of the PowerPoint, I think we have a tool that tests how good your browser is. It's a website, and you go to it and run it, and it'll tell you how good your browser is at blocking different trackers. So search engines, this one is pretty simple. Just use either Brave or DuckDuckGo. I find personally that DuckDuckGo has better search results, so just use that because it's just a better tool. These tools do not collect information about you when you're browsing. And what's important here is that as we layer our tools up, even if they do collect a bit of info, it doesn't really matter because our VPN's protecting us. We got our browser on top of that. Even if our search engine is collecting a bit on us, it's not really identifiable information because we're using other tools and we're layering them on top of each other. And that's really the goal of this. Put them together so you have a comprehensive privacy solution. So communication, this is a big one to cover, particularly because many forms of communication that we use by default, like phone calls and text messages, they have zero encryption. There's nothing keeping your phone company from listening on your phone calls or reading your SMS text messages. There's absolutely no protection. The network is protected, so no one else can listen in, but as soon as it gets in that cell network like Verizon, AT&T, there's nothing protecting it. So anyone with administrator access can read it, which includes the government. This is actually what Snowden talked about, is like they just let the government read it and this stuff is still done. So we're going to go over some different tools that can provide extra layers of protection so it doesn't even matter if that's happening. We do want to avoid services like WhatsApp, Snapchat, and Instagram Messenger. WhatsApp and Instagram Messenger are owned by Facebook and have terrible privacy policies. What a surprise. Snapchat is just through and through a sketchy company. I've heard so many stories of people that sent a snap that was supposed to be like temporary and it came back up in their yearly memories. It's just weird. There's no like proof that they're actually deleting anything. And to talk about that concept, we're going to talk about end-to-end encryption quick, which is a little bit technological, but I'm going to try and like make it easier to understand.
Just jumping on the Snapchat thing, it was many, many years ago, but the way that they would do the photos on Snapchat was it would save it in a location on your phone. So it would create like a different folder and call it something different, and then it would label the images as like another file extension. But if you would change it to like a photo file extension, you can find the pictures. They did like a whole forensics thing on it. And then this just kind of came out a couple of days ago. But FireFox, there's like this whole discussion online right now because they did change their privacy notice. There's a whole discussion around whether or not what this means because of legal words and stuff. I found the whole thread on Reddit. I'm going to share it now here as well. But something to think about. You're still protected with the extension, but I don't know to what extent this means or what they're using it. And then you can always find their privacy notice too. So that's something to think about. Also, is if you're using a tool, check out its privacy notice and see how often it like updates.
That sucks. Okay, well then Brave. Use Brave browser. That
There you go.
should solve that problem, hopefully. Unless something bad comes up with
With Brave, yeah.
Yeah, but again, we're layering these tools so that that may not be fantastic, But combine that with the other tools, it's not terrible that that's happening, especially since it's kind of hard to find good tools. So if you layer them together, you're a lot better than doing nothing. Yeah, that's good to know. I didn't know that about FireFox. So
It was
then
like 2 or 3 days ago it started.
Oh man, that sucks. Sorry, were you gonna say something? So what is end-to-end encryption? To brief over it, is basically it means that when you encrypt something, which is to change information from something legible, like we can see written here, "Hey Bob," into something completely illegible, like no computer can figure out what that thing is, we're using encryption. We're turning it from plain text to ciphertext. Cryptography has existed a long time. Now we can automate it, and that's why it's such a big thing. End-to-end encryption means that you are encrypting that data on your device, and it is encrypted before it leaves. And the only person that can decrypt it in the world, the only person that has that key that was used to encrypt it, is either you or the person you're sending it to. So it doesn't matter what this data goes through. It doesn't matter what server it flies through in the world or where it's stored. No one can decrypt it. You and the person who's supposed to get to it are the only people with that key. You can store in the most insecure location in the world. It doesn't matter. That's what end-to-end encryption is about. So no one can decrypt it. Governments, hackers, the communication provider themselves, kind of like what we see with Mulvad, where they gave up what they had, but they didn't have much of anything because it was all encrypted, and they don't hold on to the keys. You do. That's what we're after here. And I want to go over that because some services claim end-to-end encryption, but they hold on to the key, which kind of includes iMessage, and it includes WhatsApp and Instagram Messenger. They're like, we have end-to-end encryption, but we hold on to the key for you so you can recover your password in the event you forget it. So like read into it to see if they hold on to that key in the privacy or privacy settings or the terms of service, because that changes whether or not they actually are maintaining this standard, because they can just lie about it. They don't really have to tell the truth. By default, though, iMessage is still pretty good. Apple does a good job of trying to protect you, but they do have to follow the law. If they have access to your messages and they can decrypt them and they're required to, they have to do it. So the problem here is that Apple was forced to remove the full end-to-end encryption called advanced data protection for UK citizens. This happened just a few days ago because the UK is apparently just wide open about wanting to spy on their citizens. They're not even trying to hide it. At least we tried to hide it. Come on. So the problem here is that they can decrypt messages by default. They just promise that they won't, and they usually adhere to it. They can decrypt UK citizens' messages. And all it's protecting you is that the UK is not, if you're a UK citizen, all it's protecting you is that the UK is not putting in a demand to Apple to decrypt that message. That's all that's protecting you, is whether or not they follow through with it. The issue here is it sets a precedent for the US to do the same thing. Again, these are hyperlinks. The one below is showing that the FBI immediately want to do the same thing here. So will that happen? Will that won't? I don't know. That's not my job to know. But it does set a precedent, and it is a bit concerning that this is a thing now. So I just want to mention that, like, hey, iMessage is okay, but it's not fantastic. Signal Messenger is going to be your go-to if you're concerned about that, because Signal Messenger has proven themselves with subpoenas. They've been subpoenaed so many times because terrorists use this tool because it really works for protecting your messages. And all they give over is like the phone number the person used to sign up and the last known IP address. And that's it. So if you're using a good VPN, it doesn't matter. Signal's got your back because they encrypt the data on your phone, and it cannot be decrypted until it hits the recipient phone. They don't hold on to anything. It's technologically impossible for them to decrypt it. And when it comes to like the features that you'll notice as a user, it's going to be instant messaging, just like WhatsApp, Instagram Messenger, iMessage, just like all of them. You can send pictures and videos. These actually auto-delete if you want them to. If you set them to do that, it completely wipes off the phone. It's not stored anywhere. It's actually destroyed. You can do stories like Snapchat, which my friend Jacob does. That's how he got his friends to start using it, is use stories, just like Snapchat. So it's still fun and easy to use, but it actually provides you real security. And you can do phone calls through it. You can just open up the app and call someone through it, and it is fully encrypted. It's a little bit of a decrease in audio quality, but you can still do video over that too, and the video looks great, like compared to FaceTime. So it's really a great solution. It just solves everything for you, and it's easy to jump into. And I'm trying to get as many of my friends and family onto that as possible. Another great solution for a different part of your life is going to be email compared to text messaging and instant messaging. Proton Mail is a fantastic service. They are based in Switzerland, so they follow Swiss law. It's very similar to Gmail. Using the entire email client, using the calendar, everything just works just like Gmail. It also blocks email trackers, so that's something you're actually going to notice a result. If you get like email mail lists and there's trackers in them, it's going to block them, which is pretty cool. So no one's going to see whether you opened like that dumb email that came from some site you signed up for years ago and forgot about. And I forgot to put the point in here, but they have this one-click unsubscribe. So when you click in the web client, say, hey, I want to unsubscribe from this email service. I don't want to see it anymore. It actually blocks it all. Like it completely unsubscribes you, unlike so many services I've tried to unsubscribe from, and they just keep sending me emails. So my email inbox on here is clean. The one on Gmail that I'm almost done shifting away from is just full of spam. It's such a big difference. And they've also held up to subpoenas. When they're required to hand over information, they hand over what they have, which is practically nothing because it's all encrypted and you hold on to the keys. So governments have demanded it, and when it finally goes through, sometimes they hand over garbled gibberish that means nothing. They might get your IP address, but just use a good VPN and you're good. That's all you have to worry about. Gmail will just hand over your emails, like all the time. They do it constantly. So it's an important thing to know. So social media. Oh, here we go. I'll just cover this slide, and if you want to jump on the next one, maybe, or the next video.
That works.
So many social media providers collect plenty of user data by default. Wow, what a surprise. Who saw that coming? What you post is obviously included, but what we're really talking about here is the extra data that's being collected from you that you don't know is being collected. So that might include metadata within your photos, which we're going to talk about. And it's going to include any extra information that's collected from your phone just because the app is on there and running. Or like how long you spend looking at posts from people on Instagram. The time that you look at a post is recorded. And we're going to show you how to reduce as much of that as you can while still using social media.
All right, so neither of us really have TikTok, so we're going to make this section like really, really short. But here are some settings that you can look at in TikTok. You just want to focus on what they have enabled in privacy, security permissions, and ads. Read through it, scroll it, and just turn off anything and everything that you can think of. Depending on your device, you can also go to the specific applications, like particularly Android, and disable some of the permissions that it needs to run. This is my cat Cleo. She just wants to be very cuddly right now. You can go in there and like disable access to things. The issue with that is some apps just won't function without specific permissions. So you might not be okay with it, but you have to like enable it to read your call logs, for example, for it to even like pop up on your device. So some things to think about. There's in the app settings, and then there's on your phone settings. If you can go to the next slide. Meta/Facebook. Meta is the big company. Facebook and Instagram kind of branch up into its own little smaller companies. You can get to the screen from your Instagram, and I'll show you how, or through your Facebook settings. You'll see on your phone that it'll see like a privacy settings, a privacy center. And if you're on your browser, the white screenshot on the left walks through different steps. So each one of those boxes walks through your settings, and you can disable and enable the ones you want to keep. And under each, it's pretty cool. It tells you what's removing and what the impact of it is or where it goes, and you can dive down deeper. And then the screenshots on the right As you can tell, they have different topics. They teach you on some of the areas of what to look for, what to review. So on the last screen, you can see that's more of information. It's like, let's teach you how to review and manage the information across your different accounts. Next slide, please. On Instagram, when you go to settings, you get like this long laundry list. And these are kind of the ones that I want you to look out for. And it's the things under who can see your content, how others can interact with you. And then under more information, you have the privacy center that sends you to the screenshots that we had before. Account privacy, this allows you to set your own account, whether you want it private or public. If you are somebody that leverages social media for the benefits of social media in the financial sense, or for sales or business for yourself, you would have to do more of a public account. So something to think about. So if you don't need a public account, go ahead and make a private one. There are some settings in there that allows search engines, and you'll see it in the next slide, search engines to query your videos and photos if you have a public account. And I've seen other things come through that even if you had a private account, some of your photos and images still kind of pop up in the social space. That was many years ago. A lot of things changed. Under blocked, you don't see it on the mobile device, but Instagram has this pretty cool thing that when you go to block and you go all the way bottom of your block list, it has a suggestion of who else to block. And this will show you folks that just kind of like secretly watch your page, and they may not interact, but they go to your page often. From there, on that page, it'll give you the list of the accounts. You can go through and look at the accounts, and you can block the accounts from there. So that's something to think about, especially those that have public accounts. You might just have friendly neighborhood cyber folks watching and not really interacting. Under how do you interact, we'll go into, I'll share more on those screens later. But these are just some areas that I want you to look at and enable and disable what you're comfortable with. Next slide, please. All right, so these are some sections in there. Account privacy, as I mentioned, so the top left screenshot, I circled allow public photos and videos to appear in search engines. So this is, if you have this enabled, then anybody on Google or whatnot, when they search your name, your pictures are just going to show up. I'm not sure how much it helps in the sense of what's indexed or not, because if you still search like mine, I still see my pictures up on like Google. So I'm not sure to what extent, but this could help whatever other ingestion point they have. Screenshot at the bottom, activity status. This one's not for companies collecting data, but in the event of cyber stalking and harassment, or just folks' own insecurities. They send you a message, but they see you online and you didn't answer it, and it always becomes this like, oh, why did you ignore me? Why don't you want to talk to me? From folks like that. So if you don't want to put up with that, or you just don't care to let people know that you're online, you can disable. This also helps with like if you just posted something somewhere and it shows that you're online, they might correlate that you're at that location. There's things like that. Depending on your comfort level, you might not want people adding pictures and tagging you and mentioning you and things. So the screenshot in the middle are settings that you can enable. You can just allow anybody, and this includes private accounts. You can allow everyone or anybody to like make a post and tag you. This can kind of get annoying because you have these like spam bot accounts that come and they'll make a post and they tag like 8 million people. And then you're on this like weird post about who knows what, that if you go to someone's Instagram, there's 3 tabs. The last one's like where they would have been tagged on. That pops up there. So as far as that, they're trying to reach your audience through one of those posts. So I would disable it. And then mentions, this could be something else. Like I know when I didn't have this enabled, I was getting mentioned on a bunch of random, like, join us for these crypto like things that would teach you how to be a millionaire. those things to notice, and then sharing reuse, once again, up to your comfort level. Um, I want you to look at the website embeds, and this means that they can use your account, they can show your profile if it's public outside. So that's what it's saying there. It shows it outside of Instagram. This can be articles, blogs where they'll embed your profile into something that they're using. And I'm sure that they will probably also take this and sell it so other folks can embed your site into their websites. From a sales, marketing, advertisement, this makes sense why they will use it, but I would want their permission first before they just randomly like just threw my thing into um, a website. And then I think that's it for privacy if you go with the next slide. Yeah, I'll let you cover this one.
That is interesting. I didn't realize it had the suggested block list. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, that one was interesting.
So yeah, so something I found out thanks to this resource called TechLore, which I actually have listed at the end of the PowerPoint. It's just a website full of privacy and security tools, and this guy makes videos online on YouTube. Highly recommend looking at it. He does a good job of explaining different concepts and tools to solve problems. But what he mentioned was run some of these things on your browser instead of the app on your phone. You can visit Instagram and TikTok in your phone's browser, like Brave or FireFox with the uBlock origin, or Brave, I guess, because of the FireFox thing we saw. Because what will happen is that now it's just a website. Now it's boxed in by this browser that's protecting you from tracking. The app, when it's on your phone, is going to try and demand all those resources, access to all those different permissions on your phone, just like we said with the advertising ID, just like SNS said with trying to demand access to resources, otherwise it just won't open. If you open it in your browser, it doesn't have any of that stuff. It only has what the browser gives it, which is like your IP address and some vague identifier that's not real. So open it in there, log in, test it out and see if TikTok or Instagram or whatever you use works the way you need it to. And if it does, just delete the app off your phone. Just leave yourself logged in on your mobile browser. And it gives you all the functionality you need. I do that with YouTube because I'm still stuck on social media, kind of, in the sense I'm still addicted to it, which is terrible. I got to practice what I preach, but I can't do it. But yeah, I just use it in the browser. It doesn't collect nearly as much on me, and I still have everything I want with it. So it's a great little solution. And combined with your VPN, it won't collect your IP address. So you're really kind of like tapering off what it can get on you. So this should be our last section, photo metadata. Metadata is defined as data about data, which is kind of a weird definition. So what that might mean is, like, in a photo, you're collecting the photo information, the actual image. Okay, cool. You're also gathering some extra information, like maybe the lens aperture, maybe the color mode that was used, which I imagine might be useful if you're trying to do photo editing. I don't know a lot about it, but I would guess that information is useful. It might also gather the time and date, which can be useful for organizing your gallery. Like your phone's gallery will figure out when photos were taken to organize them. That's useful. There's a reason for that. Things that there's no reason for in most cases is going to be location, which is automatic. Many phones, like the default operating system, iOS and Android, the camera logs your location when you take a photo or you record video. That's just default for some reason. It shouldn't be default, but it just is. We have to know to turn it off, unfortunately. What it also includes is your operating system version and the type of phone that you use, which is just wild to me because I can't come up with a single good reason that is included. At least location has a reason. Like you might want to tag where you were in a photo on Instagram, fine. But operating system version, an example how that can be used against you. Let's say you don't like updating your phone. You just don't want to do it for some reason. So you don't have security updates and you have a public social media account and you upload photos all the time. And it includes your operating system version. If someone just downloads that from Instagram and looks at the metadata, they see your OS version. And let's say you really piss someone off and they want to hack you. Okay, they know the version OS that you're running and they can just look up Android 10 point blah, blah, blah vulnerabilities in Google and then find out how to hack you. Like, it is so easy to do. and there's no real good reason to have your OS info included. It's only a potential risk, even though it might be a low risk. It's still a risk that has no reward, and that's one that just really annoys me. That's why I like to harp on it a bit. But how do we turn this stuff off? Well, if you just don't want location info recorded ever, which I don't have any reason for it, in iOS or iPhone, you just go to your system settings, type in privacy and security, navigate to location services where we can see right there, and then select your camera app and turn it off. Just turn off location. It doesn't need it, you're good. And you can also scroll through and see what other apps don't need location that are actually demanding access to it. And another good thing to do, I wish I wrote it down in here, but for apps like your dating apps, you can select location and then turn off precise location. Bumble doesn't need to know what room of the building you're in. It just needs to know roughly where you are so it can serve up and show you different people that you might want to swipe on. So go through and think about which apps need location, and if they need it, how precise does it need it? Your weather app also doesn't need to know precisely where you are. It just needs to know roughly what city you're in. And I think Maps is the only one you really need precise location. That makes sense. There is a reason for it. So that's an important, pretty good thing to do. For Android, it's a little different. You go into your camera settings itself, not your system settings, and you just turn off location services in the camera settings, because there's so many different Android devices with different versions of Android. We can't include them all. Unfortunately, if you can't figure it out, you're just going to have to look up whatever phone you have, like a Samsung, and say, turn off location in camera on Samsung. There's just too many different ones to include here, unfortunately. What you can do as well, because remember, we only pulled location, right? That's all we removed right now, is we're not including location into our photos, but we're still having operating system version and type of phone included in our photo metadata. So what we can do is use these tools to just scrub that out. It takes a photo and just scrubs out everything except for the photo info itself and the time and date, and that's literally it. And you can even scrub the time and date if you want to. You can remove everything. For iOS, I would recommend EXIF tool. This is one I found that's really good. It has a good privacy policy, so they don't collect data on you when you use the app. It is like $3, which is kind of annoying, but at the same time, it means that is their motive to make money, is they sell the app. They don't collect data and sell that data. They already made their money and they move on, which I do really like. Unfortunately, because I don't have an Android, I could not test these two Android versions. I think, Esna, you're able to test one of them, right? The EXIF eraser or scrambled EXIF. Was there one that you liked above the other?
I couldn't tell exactly what was deleted because I have all the settings turned off on mine. But I did like how it renamed the file. Both of them did it. It was just anticlimactic in a sense. But personally, I like scrambled because like I can be in the gallery, like I can be looking at my pictures and I can send it over and then it'll clear it out. And then it creates a new image too, which is nice because then you don't have date of creation and it's at the top of your gallery page. So if you want to post it or whatnot, it's there, good to go.
Yeah. So using these tools is really good before you upload a photo to any social media provider at all. Or if you just send it to someone, you're like, you don't need to know this about me. Let me just clean it first and I'll send it over. For iOS users, the EXIF tool, it does allow you to select granularly exactly what is deleted. Like when you hit it, it just says, do you want to scrub all data? And I'm like, yes, I do. Why not? And it just works. And it shows me the results. So that is a little different from the Android ones. Unfortunately, I'll see if I can find better Android ones. Or as the viewer, you can go look up best metadata removal tool for Android. And you might find something better. That'll be awesome. So these are the resources that I use to make this PowerPoint. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, I do want to talk about them a second because they are actually fantastic. This organization was founded at the dawn of the internet when the people who were creating the internet, including Steve Wozniak, who like father of computing pretty much, realized that governments were immediately using it to surveil, and they're like, hang on, that's a problem. This could turn into something bad. They were right. So the EFF, they actually fight legally for our rights in digital privacy. They also provide a bunch of resources to learn about digital privacy and tools to see how good your tools are. So Cover Your Tracks is that browsing tester I was talking about. It checks how good your browser is at blocking trackers. Surveillance Self-Defense is a massive library of information about different tips, tools, and how-tos for safer online communications. There's even one in there about everything you need to know before attending a protest, so you're practically a ghost. Like, they have some serious stuff. It's very well written, which is why I'm not rewriting it. I'm just directing you to it. Street level surveillance talks about different street level tools used by police officers, government agencies. This is like license plate readers. It's going to be like these little gadgets that pretend to be a cell phone tower to force your traffic on your phone to route through it so they can monitor it. So if you're using regular text messages, it would be red. If you're using Signal, it cannot be red. And if you're using a VPN, they can't see anything. They just see a phone is nearby. So it talks about those different technologies and ways to defeat them. VPN relationship map, it hasn't been updated in a while, but it is a map, a little like visual mind map kind of thing, of who owns VPN companies, which means who exercises control over those VPN companies. Are they actually doing what they say they're doing? And it includes audits, like, has this VPN company been hacked? If they were, was actual customer data revealed, which means they were collecting it in the first place? And have they been raided by officials? And if so, what happened? Because that's important stuff to know. And then, of course, Tech Lore, where I learned a lot more further privacy and security knowledge. He has a great YouTube channel. Highly recommend checking it out. He tries to keep up on like the latest things, like the Apple thing that just happened in the UK like a week ago. And last thing I want to leave you with all this is revisit what you're doing with your privacy, security, and anonymity practices, ideally twice a year, because things change. Maybe a tool like FireFox, we just found out, oh my God, FireFox may not be as good as we thought anymore. They just changed something. Keep up with it. And also tools might change to be better. Maybe there's a new feature in Brave that makes it even better to protect you, and you got to go turn it on. So revisit as often as you can, as often as reasonable, and just do what you can to protect yourself. But everything we covered here should give you a really, really good baseline to keep yourself safe, no matter who's trying to watch you. And I think that's the end. That's the end of it. So that's all I got.
Ooh, thank you, James. This is insightful, a lot of information and details. Any questions from participants, either in chat or?
Yeah. Go for it. I'm ready.
What would you say is out of all the research that you've done, was the most compelling for you, at least?
Sorry, could you repeat that? It was a little quiet for a second.
Out of all the research that you have done, what was the most compelling out of all?
Reasons for doing it?
I mean, most compelling. What was the most that you said that you were most interested out of all the research that you have done?
I would say for me, it's the ad ID, because it's such a powerful tool that no one talked about for a while. No one talked about it until a collector for ad ID got hacked by Russia. You can look it up. Gravy Analytics got hacked. And Russia just released all that data, proving how much they were invading people's privacy. It's kind of a weird thing. Like, Russia almost helped us? What? But it proved just how invasive these tools are that no one really thought about, because it's just a feature that just ended up in your phone's operating system and you never looked at, because there's too much stuff in your phone to look at everything. And because that monitors your location down to within like 5 feet of accuracy every minute of every day, that is terrifying. That's not anonymous at all. And that is used for more surveillance than it is advertising. And realizing how easy it is to turn off was fantastic. And that's why I want as many people to know that as possible, because it's horrible, but you can turn it off really easily. So just get it over with. I'd say that's the biggest one.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
or comments,
Yeah,
things I'd like to see next time, or
anything.
dive deeper in.
We're taking notes.
Yeah, I think this is actually very interesting in terms of like the tracking within the browsers. That's going to be very big.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, let me see. Go back on this. Where are we? The reason I threw a photo here. Where are you? There it is. The reason I threw this photo on there was because of ad ID. In the UK, this is what was collected on people. Is their location just every single day? And the UK has better privacy law, ironically, and this is still happening. So
For now.
for now,
For now.
till they change it.
Mhm.
But yeah,
All right,
that's all I got there.
cool. So I'm gonna stop the recording.